Allegra, great to see you again. Welcome back to Popternative.
Thank you so much. It's been a while, but it's great to see
It's
you.
been
How
a
are you?
while. I mean, we are getting down to the wire. The final season of Upload, which is I mean, it's interesting, right? Because every time a new season came out, you learn more about your character, you figure things out. What's that like now before this season, kind of with everything kind of wrapping up? Do you feel like you like understand these characters? Were you still learning even for the final season? Like I'm curious about that.
Yeah, I think we do still have a lot to learn going into the final
Yeah.
season, and I think that there's a really I hope anyway that the wrap up is satisfying
Mhm.
and that we feel like we've gone on a really great journey with each of them.
Yep.
And that it feels complete, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we've definitely learned some things about Ingrid, some hopefully some surprising things and maybe some things that give us more compassion for her. That's my greatest hope is that people have a bit more compassion for her than what they started with all the way back in season 1. So
When did you start thinking about how memeable Ingrid was as a character? Because I feel like that's something that like might catch a lot of people off guard. Like people have ideas when they first meet characters, like for example, like Kevin with Luke. Like it's like, yeah, he's gonna be a meme. You know what I mean? But it's like Ingrid
yeah.
is like very memeable.
Yeah, yeah, that's so true. Thank you. I actually take that as quite a compliment.
It is. Oh, I said it
I
as it's a good
love
thing.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. I think when did I think that she would maybe become a meme? There is an episode for Ingrid that has been a turning point for a lot of reasons, and one that would be the sleepover episode in
Yep.
season 1. The hair choice,
Yeah.
and then also just the like get out of here. There's a lot of maybe the best way to describe it is I think she is closest to like ego and id. She will act on impulse and say the things that everyone else is thinking but is too afraid to say. And maybe that's what makes her so memeable is she says the intrusive thought. And how often do we wish that we could? And not only that, but she says it really well.
Mhm.
And she often says it with some crazy eyes.
Mhm.
And that makes a good meme too, I think.
Absolutely. There is a
Yeah.
question here, but I have to set it up first. It's like a setup.
Okay.
Okay, so I was a big music guy growing up. Used to go to shows when I was younger and everything. And I remember when the tour of like one of your favorite bands was like announced that they were gonna come to tour like to your town in like 2 3 months. That was like an
Yes.
event on itself, right? Like it's
Yes.
just like the day that the tour is announced that you could buy tickets to see them in 3 4 months. That was its own event, right? And I
Yes.
find
Yes.
with TV and film, it's become the same thing. There was the announcement that the final season's coming out. There was really cool things at San Diego Comic-Con. So it's like
Yeah.
that's become like the announcement is its own event, even like before people get to see episodes. Like the announcement we're
Yes.
getting like a final season of Upload is its own thing. Do you start thinking about that from like a storytelling acting perspective? That like what you work on, it's like different kind of steps and stages where it's like people haven't even seen the thing, but it's like a whole event, right? At like Comic Con,
Yeah.
it's a whole event of like the poster coming out. Like it's interesting to think about.
Yeah, it is. It is. I don't know if I think about it from an acting perspective, but I do think about it from a professional standpoint,
Yes.
where even when we were wrapping for the series wrap on set, and there is much crying, much Kleenex, much hugging and weeping, whatever. I was like, this isn't over yet. This isn't over. Because we didn't know then that we were going to get to do Comic-Con.
Yep.
But I did know that we'd have an opportunity, this interesting period that is so much fun, where we get to talk about the show without giving it away. And and that we also get to be together often during that season too, unless it's a strike or COVID, and then we can't. And we've had 2 seasons where we have not been able to be together. But when they announced Comic-Con, I was like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. We get a senior prom
Yeah.
and a graduation on the same day. This
Yes.
is
They can't even see
awesome.
the
And
episodes. Like,
no, no, but it
that's
it does
why.
it does feel like I know it, but it's that like celebration of it that I have this deep desire for. Like I want to talk about it. I
Yeah.
want to discuss it with people. I want to hype it. I want to tease it. And more than anything, I want an opportunity to hang out with some of my favorite people in the world, which are my castmates. I
Ab-
love them.
Absolutely. And I find it really interesting because we can go back to the first season and the final season, and it's like things in the kind of sci-fi technology world, content-wise and theme-wise, have always been around. Upload obviously hits hard because it also plays with like the afterlife and a lot of other
Yeah.
things. But I'm wondering from the sci-fi technology perspective, Allegra, like
Yeah.
that content's always been around, but that content's become more heightened. That content's been more
Hmm.
popular. That content, we're more creative with a lot of those stories. What do you think about that? What do you think about working in
Yeah.
that kind of sci-fi world where we've always had that content, but it's been elevated, it's been heightened?
I think it's gotten heightened because I've been saying that the change in technology is not linear, or well, it is linear, but it's not gradual, it's exponential. It doesn't
Mhm.
just The technology doesn't just improve incrementally bit by bit. It gets faster and faster and faster
Yes.
and better, faster and faster, right?
Yeah.
So as the years start stacking up on each other, the it's outpacing our expectations, and therefore it's like I feel like we're scrambling for the um parables. We're
Yeah.
scrambling for, oh, we need some wisdom. We need to be able to have a framework to process this. We need some Aesop's fables to talk about the technology that's already too far ahead of us.
Mhm.
So I think that's why upload has been so prescient, but also I think it's going to hopefully age really well and be looked back on as this is actually quite ahead of its time, not just because the technology was quite accurate,
Mhm.
but also because it posed some very philosophical questions that I think we really need to be discussing and asking ourselves, because it's getting freaky out there. It's getting too freaky too fast.
Absolutely. And I find it also crazy to think about the fact that, you know, every time a new season of, Upload comes out, I feel like it's a two-headed monster. And I feel like this is more of a Greg Daniels thing, right? Because those are the people that are kind of like making it and have to make those decisions. But it's like,
Yeah,
you're basically continuing the storylines with Ingrid and all those characters, right? Like, so that's its own thing, and you're
that's
continuing the
one.
stories. But then it's also like, how are we going to make it bigger? How are we going to make it better? Because that's like,
Hmm.
it's just kind of what it is. And like, so when that two-headed monster comes to play and like you get those scripts finally before even going to production, what's
Yeah.
that like for you specifically? Because those are two different things. So you're probably going to be like, wow, we're going bigger this season. And then, wow, the
Yes.
characters are doing crazy things and like the arcs are kind of growing and this is
Yeah.
sad or this is happy.
Yeah.
So like, what's
Yeah.
that like, that script to screen journey with that two-headed monster I brought up? I find that very interesting.
Well, it is, you're right. And it takes a lot of ambition and appetite and curiosity and courage to
Yeah.
do that. To put all of that into a 30-minute episode is pretty insane. But I think that from jump, we've all, me included, trusted Greg Daniels and the writers to do the high wire act and figure it out
Mhm.
and cover all of those bases in the short amount of time. And I think that some of our favorite cartoons, especially, can do that so expertly because it's a cartoon world. And I don't think Upload is actually that different from a cartoon,
Mhm.
really. It's obviously a live action, futuristic rom-com, suspense, mystery thriller,
Oh, one of the most genre
drama.
bending shows ever made. I've talked about this with Robbie too. Like, it's
Yeah.
so genre bending. It's
It's a
crazy.
soup. It's a genre
It's a
soup. It really
super.
is. But he, like Greg from Jump, he had said, and this is kind of more about tone, but he uses this metaphor of, I believe it was either like a McChicken or it was some McDonald's sandwich, where the way that they advertised it was, we're going to give it to you in an open box. So you keep
Mhm.
the hot hot and you keep the cold cold. And he has always said to us from the table read for episode 1, he said, we're going to keep our hot hot, we're going to keep our cold cold. And
Mhm.
just trust that as long as we're doing that, it's going to be a tasty sandwich. So keep the romance romantic, keep the drama dark, keep the mystery mysterious, keep the silly silly, and like keep the tech there and keep the characters here. It's okay. It's People can hold it all,
All these food references, soup,
right? Soups,
I just love it. It'd be like
sandwiches.
someone comes up to you that doesn't know much about things, and it's like, "Oh, Allegra, you're an actor, cool. Like, what are you
Yeah.
working on? Like, what kind of show is it? It's a soup.
It's a soup. It's a soup, but think of it like an old school McDonald's sandwich, but in an open box, but with soup on the side. Bring a napkin. Yeah, I don't know. I'm
Absolutely.
hungry.
Two more quick questions.
Yeah.
I find it interesting too because I've since we chatted last, like I'm a filmmaker now too. Like I'm making films now too, which is really
Oh,
exciting. And
congratulations.
thank
That's
you.
great.
And I don't know, like we all like storytellers and creatives, even this, like doing interviews and everything and like watching things, like we all before this were fans of content, right? Like you and I, like we just went to
Yeah.
the theaters and watched our favorite TV shows. Do you watch things differently now that you know like how things are made? Like I'm just curious about that.
I totally do. Totally do. It can absolutely take me out of it for sure if there's something that's, I'm thinking about, I don't know, the way that they've dressed a wound, or, oh, there's a continuity thing I see that nobody else can see, or
Mhm.
yeah, anything like that. Or
What's that
when it
soup doing?
feels,
What's that
what's that
soup doing to
soup doing
the
over
cup of
there? Who put
soup?
that soup there? I was actually about to talk about coffee cups, and if you can tell that they're full or empty, I need lunch so bad. But the thing that I find is really funny is, even though it's kind of garbage television, I really do enjoy some select reality TV,
Mhm.
because here's another food. I don't know how that sausage gets made, and there's something about human behavior that feels like these people are not used to being in front of a camera the way actors are, and they forget. And I
Mhm.
think you can see some real genuine human behavior on shows like, I hate to say it, Love Island.
Oh,
And Love is Blind, any of the love shows. Sometimes people sometimes forget that this is going to live on forever. Actors don't forget. We know from experience.
there was a moment, there was an interview I did for like a Tubi movie a while ago that had my friend Brenna D'Amico, who's also in one of my films as well. She was in the Descendants films, and BB Wood, who was
Okay.
in the Mean Girls, and they were talking about like a cereal scene, like eating cereal, and then we just
Yeah.
started talking about food, and then at one point, like we were like. One question was I had like my guests ask each other a question. I do that sometimes. And like
Yep.
the BB's character is Kate. So she was like, "What is your favorite thing about playing Kate?" But I start laughing, and it's on YouTube somewhere. But I start laughing because I heard like, "What's your favorite thing about playing being cake, like a cake?"
Okay.
So then like we started.
Everybody.
So I've never in
Yes.
my life laughed hard in an
Yeah.
episode of my show because we were talking about food. We were just thinking about food,
Yes.
and it was the
Yes.
greatest thing. And I feel like
It's that time of day.
we almost had a
We're getting
moment
there.
there.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're
And then
getting there for
last
sure.
thing, and I'd love you to answer this in regards to reflecting about the final season, because I feel like the final season, when people see it, it's going to hit hard. It's going to be so many emotions and everything, and
Yeah.
especially the last season 4. Like,
I
oh my
know.
god, like come
I
on.
know. I
Um, did
know.
you
I
always
know.
see comedy with a serious undertone? Because our favorite sitcoms from like the 90s and 2000s were like we laugh, but they had a lot of like serious undertones in them as well. Like so, like from your perspective, like working in the genre, like did you always expect them to be kind of like these comedies to have kind of these dark moments and be around tragedy? Like, I'm just curious about that.
Yes, yes. I think, well, laughter is a sign of recognition. And if laughter is a sign of recognition, then that means that there's something true. And if there's something true, that means that there's got to be something in the human experience that's got that dark side.
Yeah.
There's something like shame, there's something like loss, sadness that's being explored, and you can't have comedy without tragedy.
Yeah.
And even if you kind of have to change the definition of tragedy, I think about one of my favorite ever comedies. It's called The Comeback, with Lisa Kudrow
Yep.
on HBO,
It's
and I
great.
think The Comeback is going to have a comeback, which makes me so
Yes. I was
excited.
just about to say, I read something about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to talk to my team about how I can audition for that, because that would be a dream come true. I would be background on that show. I'm so obsessed with it. But I use that as an example because if we think about why it's funny, we're watching a woman suffer. She's she's doing she's doing cringe. I hate that word, but I'm using it now. Embarrassing. She's humiliating herself, or situations are humiliating her. And that is actually tragic. That makes me feel sick to my stomach, but we can't look away because she navigates it so beautifully. And it's funny to watch someone try to put their mask back on when they've fallen flat on their face over and over.
No,
And
absolutely.
those are my favorite comedies.
We get a
Recovery.
lot. We have a lot of that in Upload.
Yeah,
And yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. And the final season of Prime Video, I can't wait for people to check it out. Allegra, so great chatting with you again. You're like a third time
Yes.
guest now, so like I feel like I gotta
Oh,
get you like a
woohoo.
mug or something.
Yeah, yeah. Give me a mug. I'd love a mug. Or you know what? Give me a bowl for some soup. That's what
Oh
I
my god.
need. A
Oh jeez.
pop-turnative
Of
bowl.
soup for soup. Um, your Instagram account, just your name. People want to keep up to date with everything.
Sure, at Allegra_Edwards. And then I'm floating around TikTok too. I'm a little slow on TikTok, but I've got some stuff. You could check it out.
There's
I
gonna
think
be
it's the
some
same.
cool pop-turnative stuff too that they're gonna have to check
Yeah.
out soon.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
love that. I love when people are
Yeah.
like, "What are they talking about?" And then they're like, "Ah." Like it happens a lot. It's everything. So, but congratulations on everything and Ingrid's incredible arc, and you did an amazing job. Congratulations! I'm so happy for you,
Thank
and
you.
thank you again for coming on the show. So great chatting with you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I love talking to you too.
Well, this has been Pop Turn of youtube.com/PopTurn for previous episodes. Until next time, this is Allegra Edwards and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popturnative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popturnative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.